The conference room smelled like burnt coffee and the faint ozone from the overworked projector. Rain hammered the floor-to-ceiling windows behind Indigo, turning the Manhattan skyline into a smeared watercolor. My pulse was so loud in my ears I almost missed my own voice. Hey. Leaning against the table with that cocky half-smile I used when I was 2 seconds from cracking under deadline pressure. What if I told you I've been in love with you for months? Would you finally give me that raise? It was supposed to be a joke. The kind that cuts the tension after 14 straight hours of revising pitch decks. A stupid Ice Queen crack a smile for once. Instead, boss of 3 years. The woman who could silence an entire boardroom with one arched brow, went completely still. Her fountain pen hovered above the contract like it had forgotten how to move. The only sound was the rain and the low hum of the city 30 floors below. She didn't laugh. She didn't fire me. She just looked at me. Really looked, and something in her steel-gray eyes fractured. I let out a shaky breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Indigo. Jesus. Voice was quiet. Almost hoarse. The single word dropped between us like a stone into still water. She set the pen down with deliberate care. The click echoing too loud in the empty room. You don't get to take it back that easily. Azure. That was the moment everything tilted. I had walked into this room thinking I knew the rules. Indigo was untouchable, cold, brilliant, married to her work. Everyone whispered she'd never dated since she took over the creative division at Lumina Agency. I figured the rumors were true. I figured wrong. 3 years earlier I'd been the wide-eyed 24-year-old fresh out of RSD. Portfolio still smelling like fresh ink. Indigo had interviewed me herself. I remembered the way her office smelled that day, sandalwood and something sharper. Like crisp linen left in the sun. She sat behind her glass desk in a tailored black suit. Hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. And asked me one question that still haunted me: why do you create? Azure. Not what. Why? I'd babbled something about light and color and making people feel less alone. She hadn't smiled, but her eyes had lingered a second longer than professional. I told myself it was nothing. Just the boss being thorough. After that, little things I catalogued like evidence in a case I didn't want to solve. The way she'd pause at my desk during late nights. Close enough that I could smell her perfume and feel the warmth radiating from her arm. The way she'd correct my layouts with a single precise note: move the negative space here. It breathes better, and her fingers would brush mine when she handed the tablet back. I'd pull away like I'd been burned. She never did. I started noticing how she watched me during team meetings. Not the cold CEO stare everyone else got. Something softer. Almost hungry. I told myself it was projection. I was the chaotic one, dyed silver hair that changed with my mood. Always 5 minutes late with coffee stains on my hoodie. Blasting indie playlists through my headphones until she'd appear like a ghost and say, "Volume." Some of us are trying to think. God. That voice. Low. With the faintest rasp when she was tired. It did things to me I refused to name. Last winter. Half the city. We were the only 2 left in the office. Power flickered. I brought her a fresh cup of the dark roast she liked. No sugar.
You're a lifesaver.
No cream.
Thank you.
Our hands touched around the mug. Neither of us pulled away for a beat too long. Snow pressed against the windows like it was trying to get in. I remember thinking, this is dangerous. Then she thanked me, voice softer than I'd ever heard, and went back to her spreadsheets like nothing happened. I spent that night on the couch in the break room. Heart racing. Making me crazy. Indigo Hale didn't do feelings. She did results. But the joke in the conference room cracked the glass I'd built around that memory. Now here we were. Rain still falling. And Indigo was looking at me like I just handed her the one thing she'd been starving for. She stood slowly, chair rolling back with a whisper. 3 years, Azure. I've been waiting 3 years for you to see me. My stomach flipped. What? She walked around the table until she was right in front of me. Close enough that I could see the tiny scar above her left eyebrow I'd never noticed before. Close enough that her breath brushed my cheek when she spoke again. You think I'm cold? Everyone does. It's easier that way. Safer. A short, bitter laugh escaped her. I don't trust anyone. Not after what my family put me through when I came out at 19. Not after watching my career almost disappear because a board member found out I wasn't interested in their sons. Her eyes flicked down to my mouth. Then back up. But you walked in here with your ridiculous laugh. And your color-coded chaos, and you made me want to risk it all again. Every single day. And you never noticed. I swallowed hard. The air between us felt electric. Humming like the city outside. Indigo. She lifted a hand. Not quite touching my face. Fingers trembling just enough to betray her. Don't say anything unless you mean it. I've waited too long for half measures. That was when the real tension snapped into place. Not the joke anymore. Not the years of sideways glances. This was raw. Between two women who had built entire lives around control. I reached up and caught her wrist before she could pull away. Her pulse hammered under my thumb, fast and alive. I wasn't kidding about the feeling part, I whispered. I never thought you'd feel it back. Her eyes closed for a second. Like the words physically hurt. When they opened again, the ice was gone. Just heat. Spilling out. Then stop thinking. Azure. Our first kiss wasn't cinematic fireworks. It was desperate and clumsy and perfect. She tasted like black coffee and the faint salt of exhaustion. Her hand slid into my hair like she'd imagined doing it 1,000 times. Tugging just hard enough to make me gasp against her mouth. I pressed her back against the conference table. Papers scattering. And she let me, Indigo Hale, who never let anyone push her anywhere. Melted under my hands like she'd been waiting for permission to fall apart. We broke apart only when the rain turned to thunder. Both of us breathing hard. Her forehead rested against mine. This changes everything, she said. Voice rough. And nothing.
I'm still your boss.
The board is still breathing down my neck. My family still thinks I'm the disappointment who chose art over the family hedge fund legacy. I traced her jaw with my thumb. Feeling the tension there. So what do we do? She pulled back just enough to look at me. eyes searching. We choose. Every damn day. You could lose your job if this gets out. I could lose the company I built from nothing. Or we could keep pretending and lose each other slowly. The conflict hit me like the storm outside. I'd fought so hard to be out. To be myself after years of hiding in small-town Indiana. Indigo had fought even harder to stay hidden. To protect the empire she'd bled for. Our worlds didn't fit neatly together. They clashed, her structured precision against my wild creativity. Her guarded heart against my need to feel everything at full volume. We tried anyway. For weeks after that night we stole moments. A brush of fingers in the elevator. A late-night text that said only "still waiting." And my reply with a single heart emoji that felt heavier than any contract. She started leaving the top button of her blouse undone when it was just us. I started showing up early just to watch her make coffee. The way her shoulders relaxed when she thought no one was looking. One Friday, she pulled me into her private office and locked the door. The city glittered below us like scattered diamonds. She didn't speak. Just kissed me slow and deep. Hands sliding under my shirt like she was memorizing every inch. I sighed into her mouth. The sound raw and needy. And she swallowed it like she'd been starving for it. But the cracks were already forming. A board member caught us laughing too close in the hallway. Rumors started. Indigo's mask slipped back on in meetings. Colder than ever. And I felt the distance like a physical ache. One night I showed up at her apartment unannounced, sleek glass walls. Minimalist furniture that screamed control, and found her pacing, phone clutched like a weapon. My mother called, she said without looking at me. She heard something. Asked if I was confused again. Like I'm still 19 and she can fix me with another trust fund intervention. Indigo's laugh was hollow. I told her the truth doesn't need fixing. But Azure, I built this life so no one could take it from me. If we do this openly, they'll try. I stood there in her doorway. Rain from my coat dripping onto her pristine floor. And felt the choice settle heavy in my chest. I could walk away. Keep my job. Protect the version of myself I'd fought to become. Or I could stay and fight beside her, even if it meant messy, imperfect compromises, stolen weekends. Careful discretion, the constant fear of being found out. I crossed the room and took her face in my hands. I don't need perfect, I whispered. I just need you. However we can have it. Even if it's complicated. Even if it's slow. I'm not going anywhere. She searched my eyes for a long moment. The city lights painting gold across her cheekbones. Then she exhaled. Long and shaky. And rested her forehead against mine again. I don't trust anyone, she said. Voice cracking on the words. But I trust you. God help me. We didn't solve anything that night. There was no grand declaration. No dramatic quitting of jobs or coming out to the world. We just held each other on her couch while the rain eased into a drizzle. Bodies tangled. Heart still racing from the almost of it all. Her fingers traced idle patterns on my arm. And I listened to the steady beat of her heart, faster than her cool exterior ever let on. In the weeks that followed, we found our rhythm in the gray areas. She promoted me to senior designer, so I reported to someone else. We kept the office strictly professional, but after hours she'd text me poems she'd written at 2 a.m. Short, aching lines about color breaking through gray. I started leaving tiny sketches on her desk, her profile in charcoal. The curve of her smile I'd finally earned. It wasn't easy. There were nights she pulled away, fear winning for a moment. And I'd lie awake wondering if love was enough when the world kept trying to separate us. There were mornings I questioned if I could keep pretending in front of colleagues who sensed the shift but couldn't name it. But there were also the quiet victories. The way she'd let me hold her hand under the table at a quiet dinner across the bridge in Brooklyn. The way she'd whisper, "I've waited long enough," against my neck before we fell asleep in her bed. City sounds muffled by thick curtains. We're still figuring it out. Some days the choice feels impossible, her identity as the untouchable CEO versus the woman who laughs freely only when it's just us. My need to live openly versus the reality that loving her means protecting what we have. Even if it means staying in the shadows a little longer. I don't know if we'll ever get the fairy tale ending. But I know this. That stupid joke in the conference room cracked open something neither of us could close again. And in the mess of it all, the sighs in the dark. The lingering touches. The hard conversations, we found something real. Not perfect. Not easy, just ours. If you're out there carrying a secret that feels too heavy, or loving someone who seems impossible to reach, maybe take the risk anyway. Even if it starts as a joke. Sometimes the punchline is the beginning of everything. I still catch Indigo watching me across the office sometimes. That old ice melting into something warm and steady. I smile back, small and secret, and the city keeps turning below us. We're not done choosing. But for the first time in years, neither of us is choosing alone.